Howdy, everybody. It is that time of the week again. It is time to talk about mules and donkeys. My name is Dave. This here is Steve Edwards. And Steve, what do you say we talk about mules and donkeys again this week?
I'm all for that. We got some surprises about mules and donkeys. Matter of fact, a few
I
things to
love surprises. You know, when I go
surprise.
out and I tell my boys, I say, "Hey, boys, I got a surprise." Their imaginations just start going wild. I'll come home. I brought them like a Tic Tac or some bubble gum or a nice soda or something. But then I'll come
Uh-huh.
home and they'll be like, "Daddy, did you buy tickets to Disneyland? Daddy, are
Yeah.
we going on an airplane?" Like their imaginations just go wild. But we've got some good surprises. And if you like mules and donkeys and you like surprises, you're going to like these, right? Oh, Steve's taking.
Right in the middle of a big drink there.
He's getting his drink
Let's do
there.
it.
Well, folks, like I said, my name is Dave. This is Steve. We're so glad that you're here. If this is your first
Hey,
time ever
boy.
hanging out with us, just want to say welcome. Really, there's not a whole lot of structure to this. You ask questions, we ask Steve, and he just digs back into the archive of the last 40 years and pulls out, hey, this is what worked for me. I think it'll
Right.
work for you too. Get out there, give it a whirl. If you find something that works for you, by golly,
Yeah.
make sure it doesn't hurt the mule and keep doing it. But we've got some things that can probably help you out. So if this is your first time watching, please ask any and every question. It doesn't matter if we've answered it before. It doesn't matter that we'll answer it again. We want to be able to help you where you're at today. So first off, let yourself be known. Say hello. Put your name in the comment section, and we would love to know that you're here watching with us. Put your name in there. Introduce yourself, where you're watching from, and what the weather's like today. You probably see people doing that already. The second thing we ask, and I've already mentioned this, but that you just ask any and every question that you've got. Whatever you can think of, we want to know. Because if you're thinking it, someone else is probably thinking it. And if they don't ask it, and if you don't ask it, no one gets any answers. So go ahead and ask it, because Steve, you want to provide answers, right?
Absolutely. We like that. Now, I got one question for you that Dave Scrow said from a place called Australia.
Ah, down under. All right, we'll get to that in
Yeah.
a second. And then the
Yeah.
third thing that we ask is that you share the broadcast. Now, if you're on Facebook, this is really, 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 really easy to do. All you have to do is there's a little share button. Tap that share button, type in a little message, say free mule and donkey clinic, and share it. That's really the only thing that we ask that y'all do. These clinics are free.
Yeah.
Y'all, like we show up every single week. There's no prerequisite. There's no registration required. There's no fee. There's no, cost. We just show up. The only thing we ask is that you share it and tell other folks about it. If you're on YouTube, go ahead and click like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and then tell somebody else about it. That's all we ask. So with that, Steve, why don't we go ahead and get to David Scholl's question first, and then we'll go ahead and start greeting folks. What do you say? That's a good idea?
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. David said to tell you, where is your cowboy hat?
Oh my goodness. I keep forgetting it. So here at the office, I leave every single morning, and I know that I've got things on my calendar, and I never look at my calendar before I get to the office. And so when I get there, I always see our call. I'm like, shoot, I forgot my hat. David, I will work very, 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 very extra hard to make sure next week I have the cowboy hat with me. Now, we're going to go up to Prescott here pretty soon, Steve. I'll make sure to bring my cowboy hat there. Maybe we'll do some live streaming from Prescott. But dang it, I keep forgetting that. All right, David, you called me on
Robert Montana up in Prescott. Robert Montana. He's got some donkeys, and it's going to be a lot of fun. You're going to take your family and boys.
Yeah.
And he's got a bunch of boys your age there. He's got a couple boys, and they got some donkeys to ride. And we're going to have fun. We're going to shoot some video. And this guy is a Prussian. So you all are going to have something really unique when you see some video of this guy, Robert Montana, a Prussian, going to very, very hard to understand sometimes, but we can get it.
It'll be good. We're looking forward to it. So let's go ahead and start saying hello to folks. Ted is watching from Valley Center, California, 100 degrees and dry. I'll bet it is. Stay safe there, Ted. Faye is watching. Good eye from down under. All right, we've gone international right away. Let's see. James Perkins from Missouri. Howdy, James. We've got Michelle Seguin. Hi from Lenoray, Quebec, Canada. Beautiful weather here. Gone international again. David Pingelli with that Come Along Coffee down in Sonoya, Georgia, and it is raining. Send the rain our direction. We need that rain.
Yes.
We want that rain.
What do we got? 130 days now with no rain?
Yeah, we got a couple little teases, but no real rain. Dawn is watching from West Cliff, Colorado. Smoky and 70 degrees. Stay safe up there, Dawn. Stephanie is watching from Missouri. Beautiful and 76 degrees. We'll take that here. Joe is watching from Arkansas. Haven't seen Arkansas in a while. Glad you're here, Joe. Thanks for representing. 80 degrees there. Jack is watching in Johannesburg. Fires out west are giving us pretty sunrises, I'll bet. 63 degrees in Johannesburg. Randy is watching hauling cows to the sale barn in Wilcox, listening to you on Facebook. Thank you, Facebook, for making this happen. Appreciate it. And then we've got our first question here. This one's from Linda. Linda says, my mule is very friendly. I can love him all over, but when I show up with a halter, he turns into a wild, untamed critter. Sounds like my 3-year-old. No, I'm not trying to halter my 3-year-old. Just sounds like my 3-year-old, wild and untamed. No matter what I do short of lassoing him, I cannot get close to him to put a halter on. I even tried 3 hours following him around in the pen. If I put the halter down, he's fine. Lets me touch him. Halter, he's gone like a shot. Steve, we've got some things here. We want to get some answers. What does Linda need to know to get in there and get some results?
She has to, are you ready for this?
I want to hear it.
Quit babying the thing. Doggone it. Now look, folks. Ask, tell, demand. 3 today, 6 the next day, 9 the next day, 12 the next day. Not 3 hours. Folks, look, listen. When you do something a third time, it now becomes a habit. Now they have a little bit of a foundation of something you don't want to have, okay? Now, oh yeah, love me, do anything you want, but put me to work? Sounds like teenagers. Okay, so here's the deal. How big of a pen do we have the mule in? That's one. Number 2, how long have you had the mule? That's number 2. And number 3, why aren't you listening to 3, 6, 9, 12? Folks, when you keep going at something, you're not getting anywhere, quit it. It's just like people say, well, I want my horse to slow down, so I go around in circles. I want my mule to slow down, so I go around in circles. How long have you been doing that? Oh, all my life. Well, it's not working for you. Why keep on doing it? Okay? 3, 6, 9, 12. 3 the way you like it. And usually you can get those 3 the way you like it in less than 10 minutes. That's it. So 3, 6, 9, 12. So how big's the corral?
That's a good question. So let's get that question answered there, Linda. We'll keep paying attention here. And when I see that come through, we'll go ahead and ask. Lisa in Baltimore is watching, 70 degrees. Trinity Powers from Ranchester, Wyoming, 75 and smoky. Lane is watching, says, Steve, smoky here for the last week in Central Oregon. How do you teach a mule string to start ponying? I've seen a string of 10 mules. How do you teach them to start ponying, Steve?
Okay, the number one thing that we have to consider when we're going to pony means I'm going to lead another animal next to me, okay? The number one thing is to be halter foundation training, okay? You cannot do enough halter foundation training. Being respectful for the halter. Now, how you start on the ground with the come-along hitch and do the ground foundation that I have in my video. You know, that's the video that comes with the ground communication kit. Look, folks, what's our end result? Our end result is to lead one from the saddle. We don't start from being in the saddle. We start from being on the ground. If you want to do foundational training so that it is correct, you've got to start on the ground and do groundwork. Okay, that's really important. So how do I start? Groundwork, when the mule is respectful, of the come along, I go to the rope halter. When he's respectful of the rope halter and he's doing correctly, then I'll get in the saddle and I will start over again with the come along hitch, do my come along work, and then I'll use a combination of come along and rope halter. Now I can tell you that when I'm taking a new mule out, he's usually the one that's right here. He's my first mule. My second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, on down the line, those are all my experienced mules. My very best mule, that is the best one I can get for, is halter trained, is for the most part, doesn't do a lot of stupid things. They all do things dumb, you all, okay, no matter what. There is no such thing as a trained mule,
right.
All right? He does not stay trained. So that last one is called my whip mule. That one cannot pull back. He can't jump over a creek. He has to be respectful and move along pretty quick. So start with groundwork, work your way up in the saddle. Now, I do put rubber around my horn so that I can dally and undally. I don't use the mule tape and things like this, but I use inner tube off of a truck tube, and I cut and make rubber bands and I put around it. You can see it on my website, on my Trail Light saddle. You can see it on there. But anyway, then I dally up, I dally and I undally. I dally, I undally. I use about 12 foot of rope for my halter, and I use my come along rope as well. So my come along rope, my halter rope lays across my lap. My come along rope, I dally, I undally. So there you are.
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate that. Let's hop over to YouTube here. We've got Norman watching from Albany, Louisiana. Weather is windy and dry. Good to have you here, Norman. Kiki's watching, says in hazy 80 degrees Southern Oregon. Howdy, y'all. Good to have you here, Kiki. Love having you here, matter of fact. Vernon is watching. Hi, Steve and Dave. Lamar here. Okay, Lamar under the alias of Vernon. 97 today and cooling down. Price, Utah. I got my come-along rope and halter. Thanks. Sure wish I'd found you 15 years ago. Sure do enjoy the info. Helping a whole lot. Man, that's something. That's why we do this every single week, is because we don't want anybody else to feel like, I wish I would have found you 15 years ago. We're putting ourselves out there, and we count on you guys. 100% count on you guys to make sure to tell the Lamars out there that we are here every single Wednesday, that muleranch.com exists, because we don't want another Lamar to send us a message saying, I wish we would have. We are so glad that you're here, Lamar. Yeah. We wish we would have found you 15 years ago. We wish that we could have done something like this 15 years ago. We're so grateful that we're here, able to do this now. But we're counting on everyone out there to share this broadcast, to share what we do here every single Wednesday. Whether folks never buy anything from muleranch.com, that really is irrelevant to us. We think the tools are going to help you, but we want you to know that you're not alone. And we want your friends and we want your family to know that you're not alone. We're going to recommend stuff. Sometimes it's free. Sometimes it has to have a budget. Sometimes it's simple. Sometimes it's going to be complex. Sometimes it's easy. Sometimes it's hard. But you know Steve Edwards, he's not going to lie to you. He's going to give you the truth, and he's going to give you the tools that you need to get out there. So we're grateful that you're here, Lamar. Ashley is watching. Brandon and Ashley are watching from Map Dot near Yellville, Arkansas. Love to have you here. First time we've ever seen Yellville here on the show. We're so glad that you're here. Preaching Cowboy. Hey, Steve, watching from Cedar Lake Equestrian Camp in the Ouachita Mountains in Oklahoma. The weather is a beautiful 83 degrees. Jana Griffin is watching. Hi, Steve and Dave. 77 degrees here in Wyoming. We're grateful that you're here, Jana. Hopping back over to Facebook. Folks, if you got questions, put them in. We're going to get to them today. Linda is watching. Linda, the mule servant, and Theo, the sweet one-eyed mule. 73 degrees Fahrenheit and sunny in rural central Ohio. Linda is a hoot. Y'all, make sure you say hi to her there. And if it strikes you, y'all can become friends. Linda's great. Corral. Okay, so Linda, different Linda, says the corral is 60 feet, Steve. So going back to the question we asked earlier.
Okay. All right, 60 feet. So is she in a 60-foot round pen?
It says corral is 60 feet.
Yeah, well, okay. So usually people tell me, it's a 60-foot round pen, 40, 50, and 60 foot. But if it's a corral and it's got corners, okay. So let me just kind of go back on this. Let's go back with this lady. And she comes with the halter, and the mule says, nope, don't want nothing to do with you. And she also needs to tell us how long she's had the mule as well. So anyway, this is what I would do. I would take my come-along rope, all right? And I would start walking up with the come-along rope ready to go. I got all of my loops right here in my left hand, and I've got my hondo and my main loop in my right hand, okay? So I have my coil and I have my loop. And as I'm going up like this. I'm wanting them to see it. As soon as they flick an ear like they're going to go, when they're thinking about it, I throw that rope at them, and I hoot and holler, and I make it tough on them. Ask, tell, demand, all right? So this mule says, I don't want to be with you unless it's on my terms. Guess what? Now, okay, this is my terms. Your feet want to go? Okay, now go. Go ahead and go. Go ahead and hoot and holler and throw the rope at them. Throw the rope at their sides. Throw the rope at their hip. Hold on to one end now. Don't throw the whole rope at them, okay? I've had people do that. They throw the whole rope at them, keep picking it up. Don't do that. Hold one end. You have your coil in your left, your loop in your right. And you don't have to do any wound ups or anything like that. Just throw it at them. Throw it at them. Throw it on the ground. Throw it on their sides. Throw it on their head. Wherever it'll go. Keep on going. Why am I doing that? Because the mule says, I am leaving. Okay, leave on my terms, not on your terms. You want to go, then guess what? Your heart's going to pound, and so is mine. And my lungs are going to pound, and so are mine. But yours are going to hurt worse. You've got more body in this world, and you're going to go, and you're going to go, and you're going to go. Now, this is what I'm watching for. I like to start really with my right-hand eye as they're going around. But let's just say, like a lot of folks end up with the left-hand eye, because most folks do everything from the left-hand side. Don't do that, folks. Saddle from the right-hand side, get on from the right-hand side, start picking up feet from the right-hand side. Use both brains. So let's go back. The mule is going around. I'm throwing the rope, just throwing it. I'm hooting and hollering, yelling and screaming. I'm going to get even with you. You saw I rip. Throw them ropes. Now, when the mule, watch his head. When the mule drops his head, guess what he just said? I want to be in your herd. At that spot in the corral, wherever that may be, as he's going around, when you see him drop his head, make a note in your mind. He just dropped his head at 11 o'clock in that circle. At 11 o'clock. All right. Now, as the mule's going around, when he comes around to that 11 o'clock spot, if he drops his head again, guess what? That's 2. All right. Now, he's going around. Going around. He comes back to that spot again. Drops his head. That's 3. I back off. I move back. And I get quiet. And the mule's going to go with his left ear going, oh, wow. All right. So right there, when I get and drop my head in submission, you back off of the pressure on me, and I get to rest. Guess what? The majority of the time, Dave, I've seen the mules come around to that spot, same spot, and stop right there. Just stop. Now, I don't want them to come to me. I never want a mule to come to me in the very beginning. It's easy for them to come to me. People see these round pen trainers, and they see this horse turn and come to this thing, to the person in the middle. They think that's a great deal. No, no. The horse did it on its terms unless you ask it to. So what I want to do is walk up to the mule. So remember what we had before? The mule ran off when I had the halter and lead rope. Now I'm walking up with my come-along rope again. I am watching for the mule to stay put. I'm watching for the head to be up. He's getting ready to take off. When it drops down, he's being submissive. Listen to that part. He's being submissive. So he's going around, and then when he stops, I start walking to the shoulder, not the nose, not the tail, the shoulder. The shoulder is the neutral ground. The nose says, whoa, come to me, go away from me, back up. The tail says, go forward. So I want to go to the neutral zone that all animals understand, the shoulder. As I'm walking toward the shoulder, I am square-shouldered. I am looking straight ahead. I don't look down. If I look down and look back up, guess what I just said to that mule? I want to be in your herd. That's what you just did. But you stay square-shouldered. You look at them. I'm always wearing sunglasses so they can't see my eyes, okay? Now, you see people all the time, they put their hand out. Okay, Fluffy, let me touch your nose. Everything's good. Listen, I've had times to where I've had my hand in that mule's mouth or that horse's mouth because I was dumb enough to stick it out there. Listen, what you see Fluffy do with some of these people doesn't always happen, folks. You get some of these want to latch onto you, okay? So that's why you approach the shoulder. Now, you're going to do this 3 times. Now, as I'm walking toward the shoulder, the mule's looking at me. He's saying, okay, visiting hours are on, come on. As soon as he turns his head away, you stop. Immediately stop. Step to the right just a little bit. The mule's going to say, why did you move? And then he's watching you the whole time. He's got his head turned like this, watching you. You're going to walk toward the shoulder. When the mule turns his head back, you're going to stop. You're going to step a little bit to the right. Now the mule's got to really crank his head around here to see you. And he's really uncomfortable. And then pretty soon, he's standing like this, and I'm just standing there. Pretty soon, he's getting really uncomfortable. His back end will come back around and be pointing straight at you. When he does, you're going to step to the right, walk to the shoulder, give him a pet at the shoulder. How has this mule learned to get away from her all this time? Guess what, folks? You taught him. Guess what, folks? I taught him. We don't do that, okay? Look, if it doesn't work by the second time, whatever you're doing, stop. Say, all right, what am I doing wrong first? And then communicate with the mule and then figure out what you've done wrong and then fix it. So I know, and folks, this is a short way that I'm telling you. Mm-hmm. I know I give you a lot to think about there, but listen, when they're hard to catch, it's because we did it incorrectly. We approached the nose, we looked down, we moved our hands around too much, we got too quiet, sneaking up on like a mountain lion. Don't do that. Squared shouldered, you're the boss. When they take off, you yell and scream and act like a banshee. Throw the rope on them. Pretty soon, their lungs and their heart start saying, I need a rest. They'll start looking for a place in that round pen.
Very good. I think one thing that is good to underscore is that everything is all about becoming that herd leader and not asking permission. And everything is all about understanding how they communicate. And everything is all about it doesn't matter what you're trying to accomplish and where you're trying to build. It's all about, what do you say? Every move is a picture, and the mule takes a picture of every single thing, in healthcare. So this is relevant. I'll bring it around here. In healthcare, if you get blood work done every 5 years, you're able to see what's happened. If you get blood work done every 2 years, you're able to see what's happened a little bit quicker. But if you get blood work done every 6 months or so, you go from being able to see what's happened to being able to see trends and being able to see what's going to happen in the future. And so mules, they see all these things as pictures. And if you communicate with them in that way, they begin to understand what it is you're trying to do. Is that how everything is a picture? It's about them trying to anticipate and understand what you're trying to do rather than just looking at what you've done and not seeing any trend. Is that kind of how it works together?
Yeah, absolutely. And then here's the thing, Dave. When we keep it in small segments of training, like I said, 3 times, 6 times, when we do that, that mule has a time, and especially the donkey, because they're so darn smart. But when that mule has a time to think about it overnight, and he's thinking about what's going on, he goes back into that pen again, he's got it. You're right. He pictures it, sees what's happening. You see, their life is comfortable, uncomfortable. You are the herd leader. You make them uncomfortable when they decide they want to leave you. That's what you do. Now, the other thing I would do is I'd put that mule in a smaller pen. 60 foot, oh, that's okay. If we're training, take it to that spot. But do not put them in a great big corral and then go in there and chase them and do their work. That's their home. That's their place to go to work. have their place to go to work separate from their home. That way they get a chance to have a break, folks. They get a chance to be able to be a mule, or they get a chance to be a donkey. Now, I had a guy call me the other day. He says, Steve, I'm going to get a round pen for my donkey. And I said, why? He said, because this horseman told me I needed a round pen. I said, this horseman doesn't understand donkeys. Donkey doesn't need a round pen. He don't need to move around like a horse does. Donkey will go, just show me what you want, and I'll do it, okay? Start them with groundwork, with the come-along hitch. Start them with the come-along hitch. Go to the rope halter using that video. The perfect example. Now, we talked about sharing, Dave. This lady shared with this other lady, and this lady's been showing horses and stuff all her life. I think she said she was 86 years young, was her statement, okay? And she sent me a picture of her. She looks really sharp, you know. Anyway, and she had her nice judge jacket on and her judge hat on. I mean, this lady has been in equines all her life, 86 years young. So she went to donkeys. Now she's been from quarter horses to mules, and now she's into donkeys. Now, Steve, I'm in love. Oh, these donkeys are great. But, Steve, I can't get the donkey to lead. And so she says, I've been watching your video. So she ordered the come-along hitch and the communication kit. And I talked to her yesterday, and she says, it worked. I did the ask-tell demand, and now that donkey, instead of being in my space, he stays back away, and he leads. And I done it in just a short time, and she was so happy that she done it, Dave. It wasn't me that done it.
Yeah.
She did it. She was this lady's 86 years old, folks. You know, that's wonderful. I love it.
That's great. Love hearing it. We love hearing these stories. Muhammad's watching. Hello, guys. Very long time. That's right, Muhammad. We're glad that you're here. Thanks for hanging out with us a little bit. Linda, go ahead. What's that?
Was he in South Africa?
I think Muhammad Gad. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's our South Africa friend.
Yep.
That was the pack saddles, right?
No.
No, that's different.
Pack saddles was in South Africa, but I think Muhammad himself was in South Africa.
Awesome.
It was a guy from England that was in South Africa that did a pack saddle.
Got it. Okay, cool. Now, Linda, the mule servant, has a question. I try to work with Theo 2 or 3 times a week, groundwork with the come-along hitch. But sometimes weather or work interferes. I know you say not to work every day, but how long is too long to wait between training? Good question.
There's no such thing as how long. If you build in a foundation, you know, like for instance, my mules would sit all summer long. They would stand and do nothing. I'd be out on tour and traveling across the United States doing this tour. And guess what? When I come back, I always started with a little groundwork with my mules. Now, these are trained, broke mules. Some of these mules I've had 25 years, Dave, you know. And I would come back and do the same thing. Get the come-along rope out, do my groundwork, put them in a surcingle. I would do all of that stuff. Anything, just like I started a brand new, and all that was to remind them. It was like a tune-up kit. So if you need to wait a week, if you need to wait 2 months, it's okay. Hey, that's pretty cool. I just saw 2 roadrunners going by chasing a lizard.
That happens out there on the ranch.
I got a window right here in front of me, great big window. I've seen javelina and deer, and I just watched 2 roadrunners trying to go after a lizard.
Hey, you know what? Folks who have watched regularly, they will have heard this story before. But back about, over 10 years ago now, I think, 2000, over 10 years ago, probably more like 13 years or so, I came out to your ranch for the first time. And I'll never forget coming out there. First, I'd never spent any time around a cowboy, all right, much less a mule man. So I'm coming out here for the first time. And when I was younger, man, that was a long drive. Now the drive is not that far. Of course, the valley, Arizona, the valley, the Phoenix area has spread out more and more and more.
Yep.
But first time I came out, get into the gate, and I pull up to the tack shop there, and Steve comes walking over, and he says, "Do you have trouble finding the place, partner?" I said, "No, I found it all right." It was a long drive, but I found it okay. And then he goes, the first thing Steve says to me, he goes, "You know the West was won with mules, don't you?" I said, "I do now." And then he whipped out a knife, said right here, that's my business card right there, handed me a knife. And if you buy a saddle, you're going to get one of Steve's business cards. And so we do some filming, we do a little bit of videotaping. Steve goes, come up on over the hill. We'll go to the house, get some lunch. And so we're walking up over the hill. It's beautiful out there. I think we're going to be doing a clinic. I think February is when we're looking like we're going to do it. So be on the lookout. You're going to want to get registered ASAP because it will sell out. But we're going up over the hill, and we come down, and Steve goes, oh, look at that right there. Look at that right there. And I look, I say, what? I say, what? He goes, rattler right there. He goes, grabs a hoe, whacks the head right off the, I'm a city boy. This rattler is my nightmare. And Steve just grabs a hoe, whacks the head off, holds up the body. He goes, I'm going to bury this head or burn it or whatever it is you do. Wiggles the body. He goes, that's going to be dinner right there. I'm like, oh, my mind is just blown open wide. I'll never forget that. So yeah, out on the ranch, you see a whole collection of things, don't you, Steve?
Yep. Oh, yeah, all kinds of stuff. It's pretty unique.
It is.
Even some neighbors once in a while,
Yep. Very good, very good. Okay, so back over here on YouTube, David's watching from Port Angeles, Washington, 65 degrees and smoky. Yeah, I'll bet. Stay safe out there, David. Norman asks the question, says, new to mules, but have a pair that pull and ride, but have a hard time getting them to stand still. Stand still to get on. Any suggestions? Thanks in advance. This is a good question. Any advice for getting them to stand still so he can get on?
Okay, folks, again, groundwork. And come along hitch. You can't do enough of it. You can't. Now, this is what I would do. I would put my come along hitch on, and then I would put my bridle on. And then I'd get a hold of the horn, and I would give it a real hard pull, back and forth, and let the mule get all fours on the ground. And then I'd put my foot in the stirrup, and then I would go to climb up into the stirrup, nice and quiet. If the mule went to go, I would get off, and I would jerk on that come along hitch and flat make their nose sore. Now, folks, remember what I told you? This is end result where I'm going. I want you to do your groundwork beforehand. Teach them to be quiet and standing still and quiet before you come to this spot. Now you've been doing your groundwork. They've been standing quiet. Now I come to get in the saddle. So the idea of to get a hold of the horn and give it a shake is mules want to make sure they have control of their feet. They know exactly where their foot is. So when they kick you, they knew what was going on. All right. So once they get solid, I take and I cheek them. I turn the head to the left, and I can see my left brain. I put my right hand. Everybody hear this? My right hand goes on the horn, not the cantle, on the horn. My left hand goes on the mane. Did you hear that? Mane. And then I climb on. Why does my saddle roll? Because I grabbed it like this and I pulled it over. Watch any of the old westerns. You watch your John Wayne shows and all the others on these old good old westerns that we have here. It's called Grit is the name of the channel. 33.3 here. And me and Jess, my border collie, we watch it all the time. Anyway, so that's how you get on. Now, when you go to do it, you do it in stages and get yourself a nice solid three-step ladder to climb up on, or a stand. Don't try to do it from the ground, okay? So I didn't used to say that. Used to be I could jump right in the saddle. I can't do it no more. Anyway, so let's go on up. Then you put your foot in the stirrup nice and quiet, and every move of picture, your leg comes over nice and quiet, and then you put yourself in the seat, put your right foot in the stirrup. Now, here's the next part. Do not ride off immediately. Once you get on, you sit there. You soak. Keep the mule thinking straight. If the mule looks to the right, bring him back to the straight. Looks to the left, bring him back to the straight. Okay? One of the reasons they go to move when you go to get on is because you've knocked them off of balance. And they're trying to get their feet onto the ground. So when you set their balance with the horn and you back it up with the come along hitch, they're going to remember their lesson with the groundwork, and they're going to want to stand still when you go to get on. Now, when I get on from the right, I get on from the left, I get on from both sides. All right, I do. Years ago, when I used to train, I'd even slide off the back end, show people how dumb I was, because you don't want to do that. So here's the thing. Why do I want to get on the right side? There are sometimes, folks, some of these trails that I've been on, if I got off on my left-hand side, I'd be dropping about 200 feet. So I climb off on my right-hand side, and I'm stepping on solid ground, and I'm good and solid. So there you are.
Awesome. Very good. Great question. Appreciate it. Steve, I'm taking notes here too for when we go up to Prescott. So some of these things, if we're able to do some updated videos, of course, we got some of these things already, but do some updated videos, record them in 4K so people can get some really great detail and watch them on a big screen and really feel like they've got some confidence when they step back out there. Because, folks, honestly, I don't know what your past has been. But I can completely understand if you feel like you just don't have the confidence to go out there and get results and gain the trust of your animal. I get that. I have all of the information that is needed for mules and donkeys. I don't have the understanding and I don't have the confidence. My confidence just plummets to the floor when I get around them. And that's just because I'm unfamiliar with them. That's because I'm doing things for the first time. So I completely understand that confidence piece. But if there's one thing that I've learned from Steve and being around mules with Steve is that, number one, there is not a safe mule, so you're never guaranteed safety. But Steve is going to never do anything to put me in harm's way outside of the fact that they're dangerous animals. Steve's going to show me the best way to do something that communicates to the mule. He's going to make it easy for me. He's going to put it into steps that I can manage, and he's going to be there to comfort me if I make a mistake. And he's going to be, hey, it's all right. Try doing it this way next time. And so anything that we can do to help build up your confidence the way that Steve builds up confidence in folks, like that's what we're here to do. So I'm making notes of some of these things. We get up there at Prescott, we record some new videos, put them online. That way folks can continue to build up. You can build up your confidence and know that when you go out there, you can get the results that you're looking for, and then just build on it. The mule's learning, you're learning. Hey, you're doing a lot of this for the first time. The mule's doing a lot of it for the first time. There's going to be mistakes, and you know what? That's okay. So let's keep going here. We've got Kim is watching. Afternoon from Texas, Steve and Dave. Good to have you here, Kim. Let's see. I got Kim laughing pretty good on that rattler story. Jeff is watching. Warm and smoky here in northwest Montana. That's my dream state. I want to do a vacation on a ranch in Montana. That is my dream. I hope to live out that dream one day soon. Paul, hey guys, hot here in Kentucky, but mornings are getting a little cooler. Glad to have you here, Paul. Jeff says, our rat ate a rattler one time, 72 degrees, or in 1972 Pacific Crest Trail, Central Oregon. Delicious. That's right. I've had rattler. It is delicious. Jennifer says, I'm recently new to mules. Welcome, Jennifer. Hey, I'll give you a glockenspiel welcome right there. Thank you both for all of the information. It's so valuable. I can't get enough. So far, every question I've had, I have found the answer in one of your videos. Thank you for doing this. Hot dog, Steve. We love hearing that. Jennifer, thank you so much for saying something. We know that folks are out there watching, and we know that folks are out there and getting help, and we know we're never going to hear from them. But when you do take time to say thank you and just let us know what you're working on, it really makes our day. So we appreciate that. Norman asks a question. Steve, we get this question a lot, so let's answer it again. Norman asks, how do you feel about laying a mule down? Will it help them with trust issues? Take it away, Steve Edwards.
It don't do a darn thing for the mule. It only is good for you because, I'm sorry, folks, you want to show off to get on and off. Now, how would I do it if someone was handicapped? Yes, and I know of a couple folks that they've done that for. But it's folks, it's something that don't need to be done. You don't need to do it to your mule. Listen, I have talked to veterinarians, and I also know this, that when a mule lays down, their intestines and everything quits working right there. Now, here's the thing. That mule was never meant for you and I to ride to start with, just to start with. The second part is he wasn't meant to go from on the ground when he has no stability to bring 250 pounds back up. Each one of those vertebrae is like this, folks. And when he's laying down, each vertebrae is kind of in a different spot. And then when it gets up, all them vertebrae got to find their place back again. I know that it's a big push right now, and a lot of people, when I was at the show in Missouri, folks were laying their mules down. Listen, I didn't see none of them folks laying their mules down. The side pass, turn on the forehand, turn on the hindquarters. And folks, I'm trying not to be too mean here, but I believe in helping out my mule and doing what's right by him. And when I used to throw mules years ago, my wife hated it. I mean, these mules were fighting me. They're wanting to bite, they're wanting to kick, they're on to fight. And I laid them down, throw tarps on them, let them lay there for an hour or two. I did. When they got up, they were just as much on the fight when they got up as when they went down, okay? Now, I remember several years ago at Bishop, California, when they used to have big mule sales. Some of the top mule sellers in the nation would come there to California because the big bucks were there. And this one guy he'd come out in shorts and tennis shoes and spurs and long hair, and that he had in a ponytail. And he would do the tricks. He would lay the mules down this sort of thing. One day, this one mule, I could see that this mule was a scoundrel. I could just see it in his eye. He laid this mule down. He was saying how good this mule was and this sort of thing. He climbed on that mule, and when that mule jumped up, it was like a jack in a box. Kaboom! Up in the air he went, all fours. That mule went to bucking and jumped over top of a 5-foot rail corral right into an audience of a bunch of people and went bucking across the field. Now, this guy's a heck of a rider, and he did a good job of staying on. But he was telling folks before this how it gentled these mules when they to lay them down. Folks, I haven't seen it. It takes a gentle mule to lay one down nice, but it does not help a mule with a bad disposition.
Yeah, there you go. And we'll continue to answer it. And one of the things you said there, Steve, and I just want to explain for folks, Steve says, I'm not trying to be mean. Here's the deal. A lot of times, if you tiptoe over something, the point doesn't come through. And in this business, if the point doesn't come through, if the point isn't made, it can lead to folks not understanding. And we can't have that, because a lack of understanding can translate into a wreck and ending up in the emergency room. And so you have to understand that when we talk here, this is family conversation here. This is the family table. And so we want to make sure that you know exactly what you're getting into, and we want to make sure that you know exactly what you're supposed to do when you go back out there. Because the last thing that we want you to enjoy owning a mule. We want you to enjoy owning a donkey. We want you to enjoy riding. We want you to have so much fun with it. We don't want you to get into a wreck. So a lot of times we'll say things the way that Steve's talking about here, and it really is all to make sure that we take care of the mule and donkey family, the animal, and most importantly, you, right? Because we are all God's creations, and we want to make sure that we respect life. We respect the mule's life, the donkey's life, and your life. So there you go. Just a little FYI. Let's see. Rain, Maria is watching from Rain, Louisiana. Love these videos. Rain, we love doing them. Or Maria from Rain, we love doing them. So glad to have you here. Hey, we've got Trace watching from Queensland, Australia. Glad to be here. Glad to have you. Trinity Powers says, I'm using the trail light saddle and the heavy duty pad. My mule is getting white hairs about where his fat pockets are. I'm trying to let air under the pad when we stop. Just looking for ideas. Thought maybe cinching him a little too tight up front. Steve, we've talked about this a little bit. Go ahead and talk for Trinity and folks who have questions about these white hairs and venting and etc.
You bet. I mean, that's all good things, Trinity, to loosen up the back of the saddle. Shake it up and down, let some cool air through it. But you just said the key word, fat pocket. That's a high spot, all right? That saddle is going to rock on that high spot. You know, and unless you surgically remove it, which ain't going to happen, you're going to get white spots there. And why is that? That's where your front cinch is tight, and that's the place where the saddle comes out. It's the place that's going to touch first. So the best thing you can do? The best thing you can do is like you're doing, Trinity, you and your girlfriend riding and putting some miles on them. Don't feed a lot of carbohydrates unless you're riding. And remember, I always tell you, if you're going to go on a ride, that's the time to feed them oats, whole oats, so it gives them the energy. Okay, let's go back to white hairs. White hairs are a scald that's overheating. It can happen, okay? Even I've seen white hairs down by the cinches. So what are you going to do? Leave the cinch off? No. Oh, we change out cinches. Yeah, I've changed out cinches. We still have the problem, okay? Another little fat pocket here and there. So let's go back to white hairs. White hairs, especially if you have a paint mule, especially if you have a gray mule to start with, by the time he gets older, guess what, folks? It's all white. By the time that mule is 20 years old, it goes from being dapple gray or gray to white. Why is that? Because the pigments in the skin. Okay, now, if you have a darker mule, like a black mule or a red mule or a bay mule, darker colored, and you see the salt and pepper hairs in there, no big deal. That's a few hair follicles that got a little too hot. Salt and pepper spotted here and there of white hairs, no big deal. When's it a big deal? It's a big deal when you see it behind the scapula or up on top of the scapula and it is solid white. When it is solid white, then we got a problem. Then we've over-tightened the front cinch, or we've used a horse saddle, because you got to remember, horse saddles have a twist on the 6th and 7th rib, and they push right into the scapula. So what do horsemen usually do? They usually move the saddle forward and put it up on top of the scapula, and now your saddle has bridged, but that's another story. So don't worry about the salt and pepper hairs. Folks, don't worry about these white hairs. No big deal. White hairs you worry about when you got something not fitting correctly. Now, I can tell you this. I had one year some folks in Port Angeles, Washington, one of my favorite countries, parts of the United States, and also some very favorite friends up there, the Hermans. I had one of my clients one time have a white spot the full length of the bar of my saddle. Full length. You can see that saddle fit perfect all the way across. Well, they were worried about all the white hairs. You know what that was? One day they rode, it was really hot, high humidity, 90% plus, and they didn't air out their mules. They rode 3-4 days solid without giving them a break. And every day it built up, and every day the full length of that bar was solid, almost solid salt and pepper white. But guess what? In 2 springs, those hairs were gone. It was all back to one color again, okay? That's one of the reasons I started using perforated neoprene, so that it created the sweat. Now, once in a while, I'll have some dry spots up in the front. People say, I got these dry spots. Well, what happened is then I look at the mule, and the mule's got a high hip. Now the saddle's running downhill, and it's constantly putting pressure on that front end. Yeah, you're going to have dry spots. It's not the saddle's fault. It's the conformation of the mule. So what do? I have a pad that I designed that one of my apprentices had a problem with a high-hipped mule, and we were trying to, she showed a lot. And so we were trying to get where the saddle was level, and so that it would take care of that high hip. Now, we get the high hip, folks, from our quarter horses, because they're made to have a big driving motor in the back. That hip is the big driving motor. So what we did was I built a pad. I knew the bars fit the bone structure. That's not a problem. So we built a pad that was kind of wedge shaped, and it brought it up in the front, and it fixed the problem. Now notice I said I did not take and put wedge pieces in there and take off places here and there. I did practice a lot trying different ways, but I have one solid wedge piece going all the way across, and it has worked consistently for almost 12 years now. Now, going back to this, if I designed a saddle to fit a downhill hip mule, the back of the saddle would be its normal about 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch. The front of the saddle would have to be almost 2.5 inches. Can you imagine a saddle like that? Okay. Not only would it be ugly, but it's only going to fit one mule. The downside, folks, of having a custom-made saddle for one mule, when that mule dies or when he's gone, saddle's done.
Yeah.
Because you only made it for the one mule. And here's the thing. If you made it for January or if you made it for July, you're going to have a fat mule compared to a skinny mule. So there's the long and the short of it.
Yep. So I've got an article right here. It's a mule saddle, everything you need to know. You need to know. Steve talks more about a lot of this, and the thing that made me key in on it is that fact that folks will say, I want to get a custom saddle done. I want to get a custom saddle made because I want it to fit perfectly. But when you haven't been in the industry, when you haven't owned for 40 plus years, there are some things that you're not going to know about a custom saddle. There's actually a lot that you're going to want to know, that you're going to want to learn. And it's in this article. It is a huge article. So I want you to go scan through this article, and I want you to learn everything that you can about a saddle, because we want you to get a saddle that is comfortable for you, comfortable for your mule, allows you to get happiness out of your rides, but then is also very flexible from mule to mule to mule. We've been down at the Andrada Ranch. They've got over a dozen mules down there. We go setting it from one mule to the next, all the way up for a 17 hand-high mammoth mule, and then all the way down to a 13-2 Welch pony, and fits the same. It's fantastic. So read the article. We'll explain more about it. Let's see here. Kim says, Dave, if you get to Texas in March, I'll take you to the world's largest rattlesnake roundup. I think I just had a nightmare. Norman says, I really appreciate all the information. Thank you for your help and your time. We're thrilled to do it for you, Norman. That was YouTube. Hopping back over on Facebook, Linda, who we've been helping since the first question here, says, I've had him since birth until he was a puppy. Then after the farrier came, but didn't touch the mule. The mule completely did a 180-degree personality change. Haven't been able to get a halter on him since. Have been working with him for a year, and I just now getting to touch him. But the halter shows up, and he acts like he's going to kick me into next week if I get more than 15 feet from him. Totally bewilders me. You know what, Linda? I would love to have you give Steve a call. 602-999-6853, and let him talk to you specifically about what it is you've got going on. And I know he would be thrilled to give you some insight into maybe what's going on there, and then be able to hear back from you on how the training goes. We would love to do that for you. Rip is listening. We're glad to have you here, Rip, today. Cowboy Ken from Connecticut is listening. Let's see. Hey, Chaplain, Richard Matthews, Chaplain Steve. Captain says hi.
Hey,
good afternoon there. Rip says rattlesnakes are good eating. I agree 100%. Yep. Steve, Linda says, Steve, just for us old people, I no longer use a 3-step ladder for mounting. I use a big solid mounting block, because if the mule moves out or the old lady rider tips over, that 3-step ladder falls over and scares all of us. Yeah, there we go. Way to make it happen for you, Linda. Linda says, Dave, you crack me up. Steve is there to comfort me. Hey, that's right. That's what a second dad does right there. Hey, Di Shoal is watching. All right, David and Di, we've gone international again. We finished worming, so we can watch now. Hey, when you get the worming out of the way, that's when the mule watching begins. Mary says, howdy from Arkansas, 83 degrees. My mule Millie is doing great. We love hearing that. Let's keep going here. Lynn Roberts is watching. Hi, guys. I was just able to tune in. It's cloudy and in the 70s here in Colorado. I have a mammoth donkey, 6 to 7 years. When I first got her, the breeder told me I could use any bit or hacks or more. She started pulling away, so I got a come-along rope. Couldn't figure it out. Then I was using a snaffle bit, but she kept putting her tongue over it and didn't mind well. Tried using your mule rider's martingale, and she did okay with it, but it was a struggle to get it over her ears. Eventually, I tried what is called a Whoa Mule hackamore. I use a very light hand, and it is severe. She backs, neck reins, and stops. My friends don't like that I use it, and we're going out searching for cows on Saturday. We had been out for several hours, 5 or 6 water crossings. My My friends had lent me a bridle with a dog bone bit. We talked about that a couple weeks ago, and rope reins. As long as she was following, it was okay. Got to another
Yeah.
one, absolutely wouldn't go forward. There's a lot going on here, Steve. They had to find the cow, so I went back to the trailer. Should I stay? Should I change to a bit or stay with the hackamore? Steve, there is a lot going on here.
All right.
You're the one who has the 40 years. I'll let you take it over.
All right. Go back to the martingale. Stay there. All right. Why did the mule get his tongue over top of the bit? Because you had it too high. Okay. The Whoa Mule Bit. Listen, folks. Only thing that is, we used to call it a quick stop. Okay. And a particular person decided to call it Whoa Mule, and that's kind of where it is. That's the problem with that, is there's too much pressure on the nose, and one day you're going to say Whoa Mule, and you ain't going to stop. The mule will run right straight through it. Run right straight. I've seen a guy try to stop his horse with it, went right through a bunch of cows and everything. The wreck's coming. Listen, folks, there is no shortcut when it comes to fixing a foundation. The bit is not going to fix it. The halter is not going to fix it. What's going to fix it is you allow the mule and the donkey to spend time understanding. When you put that mule rider's martingale on, the long ears or not, okay, it'll get over it. You're putting the bit on too tight if you're having a hard time getting over top of the ears. Let the bit hang down. Watch the video. Folks, I got a video that goes with that martingale. I've used that thing for close to 40 years on every kind of nasty mule you can imagine, you know, and it has been consistent and worked for me. Don't try all these things, especially when the horses and a dog bone bit. That is one of the worst ones right next to the, quote, Whoa Mule Bit. Don't do that. Go back to the martingale, put it on like it says in the video, turn the donkey loose out there with the video, just like it says, and watch the bit work. Leave it alone. Watch that mule in that video. You'll see the mule's throwing a fit, and then you'll see the mule starting to smooth out and nobody on his back. Folks, the bit doesn't fix it. Time building a foundation fixes the problem. That's what it does, okay? So go back to the martingale. It is absolutely the best thing that I have ever tried. And I got boxes of bits, folks, that I have tried over the years. Custom-made bits, all kinds of stuff. And once this old cowboy gave me this double twisted wire snaffle bit, and we built a martingale around it, listen, I don't ride any animal in the very beginnings without that martingale. That's it. 6 months, folks, builds a foundation in the mouth. 6 months, not 6 tries, okay? Not 6 hours, 6 months, 4 to 6 hours a week. You hear that? That's the time frame. If you will allow it and do it, you'll have an awesome mule. You'll have an awesome donkey, but don't rush it. You know, don't get out there and ride. Do your groundwork first. Go get the teeth floated too, by the way.
Very good. I just put in the comment section a link to Mule Bits, everything you need to know. We really cover these topics comprehensively, so go check out that article. One thing that Steve says that I've just, and forgive me if you said this, Steve, I was typing, but when it comes to the bits, one of the things that I learned from Steve that I thought was it just made so much sense is that Steve never adjusts the bit to the same height the same way twice. What he does is he puts the bit in the animal's mouth and he allows that animal to start messing with it and fiddling with it, and then let the mule decide where he wants to pack the bit, rather than saying it's always going to be right here at this adjustment, the 2 wrinkles, the 3 wrinkles, whatever. He lets it hang, so the mule picks it up and then moves it back around in the mouth, and the mule says where they want it. So I thought that was just a really great, just makes sense, right? Like we will say, oh, we want you to carry it here. Why not let the mule say it? So you would always put it in their mule at a different length, or however you measure that, different length every time, so that they would be thinking about it and they would, answer the questions themselves, right, Steve?
Yeah, exactly. And again, just like anything else, Dave, that I've learned, it's been a school of hard knocks.
Right.
One time I had this mule, he kept running off on me, he kept bucking on me, he wouldn't listen, I kept having all these problems. I always loosen up my bridle 2 to 3 notches, let the bit start coming down, and then I always slide it off, keep them from getting ear shy or bumping their teeth. Well, one day, this same mule, I had taken and put the bridle on, but I forgot to adjust it up, creating 1 wrinkle or 2 wrinkles. And this mule did perfect. I couldn't believe it. I told the other cowboys that was with me, I said, guys, look how well this mule's doing. I might become a trainer. You know, look at this. And the mule did perfect. Well, I come back to this now, folks. I decided I'm going to put this mule up early because he did so good. So it was a attaboy. I went to pull the bridle off, and it was hanging loose. And I hollered at the guys. I said, come look at this. Man, I could have been killed. Look how low this bit's hanging down. And we all got talking about it. I said, wait a minute. This is this mule's best day. This mule was really responding good. I went back on, got back on again, and that mule was picture perfect. Just, I mean, picture perfect. Wow. And that's how I learned to let the bit hang down, let the mule reach down and pack the bit. I do not adjust it to that spot until 6 months later. Every day, every time I train, it's going to be a little bit different with that mule. Every time I do something, it's going to be a little bit different. So that mule has to learn to carry that bit. And listen, folks, when they're mouthing the bit and stuff, it's no time to ride. Don't ride. Guess what? That mule is asking questions. What about this? What if I hold it here? What if I let him take time to figure it out, folks? Think about your mule. You're doing this for fun. This mule is some of your best friends. Some of these mules treat you better than your husband, huh? Or your wife or whatever. Anyway, so why not give them time? I want to go ride. All right, go. All right. But if you give the mule time, you give the donkey time to play with that bit, ask questions about it, and get quiet. In 6 months, when you go to put it on, they pick it up, hold it where they like it, adjust it to that spot, and go ride and go enjoy life. But why make them miserable, folks? Why make you miserable? You get so frustrated like this lady. She said, I've been up there doing this, and I finally had to go back to the trailer. Well, doggone it. That's not fun, you know? So why not let the animal go back and watch the video, let the animal learn.
There you go. Let's see here. Over on YouTube, hey, Steve, it's Lamar again. Not sure why this thing picked up my first name. It says Vernon instead of Lamar. Will the come along take the kicking out of the back feet? My mule HB can't shoe her hind feet. So will the come along rope take the kicking out?
Absolutely. You and I got a video of that, right?
We do. I'm looking for it right now. Talk a little bit while I look to find that.
All right. So what it amounts to, folks, is this folks you'll see it in the video. They had a hard time picking up the back foot, and the mule would lay on them or kick at them and do different things. So I went ahead and I fooled with the bit a little bit, and fooled with his leg a little bit, and picked it up. Well, he kicked and pulled at me and wouldn't allow me to hold the foot. So I put the come along hitch on. I did a little bit of groundwork on it, got him squared away, went back and fooled with the foot. When he decided to be cranky again, I bumped on a come along hitch, went back and fooled with the foot, got cranky, bumped with the come along hitch. Pretty soon you can see it in the video. This mule is just standing there nice and quiet. The come along rope hanging quiet. The mule is allowing me to pick up the bit or pick up the foot. Now here's the thing with the foot, folks. When you pick up the foot on a mule or donkey, always uncock the hip. Bring it forward first, go straight back over to the left. That's how you pick up a foot. You got a donkey hip bone on a horse body, and so therefore you've got to pick it up different. So that's the way you do it. And once you do that, don't pull on it. Never pull on it. Always feel it nice and quiet when it's coming back. And then when you go forward nice and quiet, you feel a little tension. Wait a minute until they relax, then go back at it, and it'll do fine. You'll see it in this video.
Very good. I put it in there. Steve, it's already 4 o'clock. Can you believe it? This hour has flown by so fast.
What? Oh, man.
It just went by. We've done a good job here, too. We're about to get through the rest of them here. Let's see here. Get you, Steve. I'm looking. Lynn Rob. Oh, there's folks talking back and forth. That's great. Okay, Trinity follows up. Thanks so much. One more question. My girlfriend's mule is not respecting the mule rider's martingale when it comes to stopping. She is giving him the right, left motion, but he braces against it. He eventually stops. It just seems like it's taking more effort than it should. Thanks, guys. Steve?
Okay. All right. Ass, tail, demand. Keep this in your mind. If you say, mule, stop, Come on, mule, stop. Don't do that. You ask, you tell, and then you put all your strength into it, demand, and then put your hands down and wait. When the mule leaks out, in other words, you're standing there quiet, and the mule starts to stick his nose out and kind of wants to go forward a little bit, you hit him again. Ask, tell, demand. And when I say demand, folks, look, it'll grow back, and you may get a little bit of blood, but you will get a stop. You will get it. But it's not, folks, it's not the bit. It is our communication, our timing when it comes down to it, okay? Our timing, really important. Pretty soon, this mule will understand as soon as you pick up on the bridle. Now, get this in your mind. As soon as you pick up on the bridle, you should have instant results. But here's what's happening, Trinity. You have to pick up the bridle, you have to pick up the bridle, you have to pick up the bridle. That's not what you want. Go back, do the groundwork like I show in the video. Extremely important, okay? Get the mule picking up the bit, and then start with this. Go sit on the mule and just sit there. Having your hands ready and direct ready in position. As soon as the nose, hear this, as soon as the nose starts to go out, fix it. As soon as the nose goes out, fix it. Because guess what? When the nose goes, so goes the neck, so goes the shoulder, so goes the back feet. So fix it while it's small before you're out there on the side of a mountain and you can't do it. So start from there, do your groundwork, stand still. It's called leaking out. And when they go to move, when they should be standing still, then that's the time to fix it, folks. That's the time. Use that mule rider's martingale. Folks, this is not an instant fix, especially when you have an animal that's already been trained by somebody else. I know where Trinity got these mules and this sort of thing, and that's another story. But when they have used, the folks before have used a lot of pressure on these animals, and so it's going to take quite a while to get them soft. And you especially cannot do enough groundwork. Put them in a round pen, do like it says on that video. Give that a try, Trinity, and then let me know how you do, buddy.
Very good. Yolanda's here. Hey, International, the Netherlands representing.
Hey, Yolanda.
Let's see here. Your saddle and downhill hip pad do great on my mule. Ole. There we go. Love it. Sorry. Oh, Linda says, sorry, I didn't grab my pen fast enough. Linda, if you go to muleranch.com, you'll see Steve's phone number at the very top. muleranch.com. Call and leave a message. You're not going to get a hold of him live because he's down in the shop shipping orders. He's working on the ranch. He's got some honey-do list stuff to do. He's taking care of business. And so he has designated times throughout the day where he'll call folks back. So leave a voicemail. David Pengelly, when you let the mule pack the bit, it is magic. And David would know. Very good. Awesome, David. Love that. Jan Blake says, hi from Chino Valley. Hello, Jan. Glad that you are here. Michelle says, I saw that video. Wow, that was great. That's the one of you working with picking up the back feet. Oh, thanks so much for your help, Linda says. I will try what you told me, and hopefully by next video, I will be the boss. I love it. Let's see. Yolanda says, whoa, David, you've got to tell the whole one. So I read part of Yolanda's comment. Here is the whole thing, Steve. Yolanda and Steve talk back and forth, and Yolanda's got things well, I'm trying to find it here. Up there in the Netherlands, she says, now I can't find it. Okay. She says, not all mules get fat in summertime, and my mule has no big quarter QH butt, but a pure Southern Spanish butt. But your saddle and downhill hip pad do great on my mule. There we go. Gotcha, Yolanda. Okay, that's it, Steve. We got all of them taken care of today. We love that. Folks, thank you so much for hanging out with us today, spending a little bit of time with us. Make sure you go to muleranch.com. If you do not have the Ground Foundation Starting Kit, do a search on Google. Ground Foundation Starting Kit. It'll bring up Steve's website, number one. That comes with the come-along rope, the rope halter, and the problem mule video. You need all three. Don't buy just one, because you will come back to us and you will say, hey, I realize I need the rope halter now. I already have the come-along rope. Go go ahead, buy all three. The reason why we put it in a bundle and discounted it is because we wanted to make sure to emphasize that you need and want all three. We wanted to make sure to reward you for buying all three. So go muleranch.com, get the ground foundation starting kit. That is the thing I'm going to leave you with today. Steve, anything you want to leave folks with today?
Just one little training tidbit. Cowboy Randy, the cowboy preacher,
Yep.
Which I saw back in Missouri. Great to see him. He said, Steve, I know you keep your mules in a corral, but what do you do when the mules are always urinating in one spot? Here's one of my little training tips for you folks. When they're urinating in one spot, take an old car tire, put it over that spot. The mule won't urinate there. He'll move to another spot. And then pretty soon you can move it around like that. And the same thing with your manure powers. Eventually you can get them to do all the manure in piles in one place, you know, and that's really good for manure. But the urine piles, move them around. And the other thing I like to do, folks, I use granite in my corrals, granite. And granite does a lot better. So that's a little tidbit there that'd be really good for your corral panels. And guess what, folks? We got some surprises coming up. We got something coming up in a place called Australia that's going to be earth moving.
Yep.
Earth moving. I mean, it's going to be pretty incredible. And then we got the deal with James, Montana. We're going to do some donkey training. And you donkey trainers, or you donkey folks, get ready for some fun because this is going to be a great video.
It's going to be fantastic. Folks, thanks for spending some time with us today. Keep hanging out with us. Keep coming back. Keep checking back. We've got some very exciting things coming up this fall, all because of you guys. And we're very excited to share them with you. And Linda made a comment. She said, with you guys being on every day and with quarantine and lockdown, having to stay inside, says you guys have really become like family. And that means a lot to us. And the feeling is mutual. Being able to see y'all every single week. I'm thinking of Eileen right now. She wasn't able to join us today. But seeing folks like Eileen, seeing folks like Linda, y'all spending time with us every single week. David Pengelly, David and Di Scholl, so many amazing folks that just spend time with us. It really does feel like an extended mule and donkey family, and we're very grateful. Yep. So we hope to see you again next week. Until then, take care, muleranch.com, and we'll see you all then. Take care. Bye-bye now.
Happy trails.